Hi, this is Elder Jocelyn Traylor here. I am here with the phenomenal Bishop Clyde E. Harden Sr., Jr. There we go. We also have co-pastor First Lady Tanya Harden. Say hey. Hey, we're here today because we are embarking on 8 years of ministry. 8 years? New beginning. So this is just what we're doing here today. We're just going to go over the church history a little bit, so you guys can get an idea, just as well as me, of how it started, why it started, and what keeps them going. So at this point, we're going to turn it over here because I want to know, how did you come up with the name New Destiny?
You know, it's funny to be asked that question because the name came last. Before the name came the vision. Should I say the motto? You know, I knew God was calling me to pastor. I didn't actually know God was calling me pastor. I knew God was calling me something different. And without going through the whole story of it all, but God called us to Cold Spring for revival at Hopewell. And when we went there with our youth, God said, stay there. And he said, go the whole week, even though we was only asked to speak one day. God said, go the whole week, because at the end, I'm gonna have something greater for you to do. But we thought that we was here just to help out this revival. But I knew God said something greater was gonna come coming in. I think a lot of people thought that we had intentions on starting a church, but we did not. At the end of it, you know, God said something greater is gonna come, and we thought it was immediate, and it didn't happen. And then we got a phone call to come back to Hopewell to do a week-long revival alongside another minister. So he did a day, I did a day, he did a day, I did a day, and God said still something greater is coming behind. Well, in the same time, I was asked to go to preach at a church, which I thought I was going to be a pastor over. And while I was there, I walked outside the church, I looked at their billboard, and I said the name of the church, and I said this motto, we change our mind to change the world. I told my wife afterwards, I said, you know what, this is the church you're going to belong to. This is, God called me pastor here.
And I was praying that we wouldn't belong to that church. Nothing wrong with it.
And so immediately I went to prayer, and then they called me and told me that they did not want me to be part of the church because they felt as though that we were going to change them. And so, and fortunately they were right. But I was kind of torn because, God, why would you give me that motto if it wasn't the case? Well, long story short, my heart was broken, and I tried to go to this other church. I said I was going to go on the weekends and go help this church out.
Yeah, we were going to start a Saturday Night Live. And so we were going to bring that to Cold Spring with the Saturday Night Live.
And the intention was to help the youth, because when we came, the youth was so excited to be blessed. And we didn't come to start a church. We wanted to help Hopewell out. To be totally honest with you, we wanted to help them out. But I told my bishop about it, and my bishop told me these words. He said, son, no. And I said, okay, no problem, because I was already youth pastor. Me and my wife were both, we had our own staff. And after he said no, I was content. I'm not going to do it. He said, no, I'm not telling you no, you can't go down there. I'm telling you that you can't go down there and be in someone's church. That the church is in y'all, and you have to go home. I said, no. Immediately I got worried. The next day I was driving home, and God touched my heart. He says, the motto of your church is what we change our mind to change the world. I told my wife, baby, I don't know what the name of our church should be. I said, but I know in my heart that the motto is what we change our mind to change the world. And God actually wrote the whole vision out. Actually, this is the vision.
That sounds like it's right there.
So you tell them what happens next.
So I was sitting in the living room when he called and told me the vision. And so sitting there, I kept hearing the word new. And so while sitting there, I'm like, okay, new, babe, I don't know. I feel like the name of the church, like we got to bring something new, something fresh to the Cold Spring area, you know, just we can't be the particular, you know, the normal church, and nothing against nobody else's church, but I was like, we got to be different. If we're going to do this, we got to do it a different way, because I really wasn't for it. I didn't want to be the first lady. I was just like, no, but I was like, okay, we got to do this. And immediately I heard destiny, new destiny. Anytime you want to do anything new, you got to walk into a new destiny. And so we end up naming it New Destiny Fellowship Church. God gave me new destiny.
I say this to not just any pastor. I say this to anyone who's co-laboring with their wife. You know, our children had part of me and part of my wife. You know, our home had part of me and part of my wife. I think if you start a church out sharing ownership, you'll also have ownership along the way. And so I think it's unique that I came with the vision, but she came with the name. So that I kind of imparted the church, but she named the church. And that's the reason why we stand side by side today in ministry.
Wow. And as you can see, it's working, because 8 years later, y'all still standing, right?
Yeah,
that is awesome. I know, right? That is awesome. No, so, okay, so we got the name of it. So, and your Bishop Woodard, gave you the go-ahead, the blessing to be able to do this. So now, okay, you got the name, you got the vision. Okay, so what's up with the building? Like, I know, you know, did you have the money to do it? Was you even thinking about it? Like, where we going?
You know, once again, it's kind of a good story to tell, because, you know, when it was so funny. Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit, because he put one mandate on us the day we left, but about this time you probably gonna see a picture of me and my wife at the altar on this day. But before then, it was in the bed, and once again, and I really hope pastors watch this, because you gotta realize you have to trust God in your life. We lay in the bed one Saturday, and never forget it. When Bishop gave us a mandate, he said, "Look here, you got, I think it was 12 weeks. I think 12 weeks, probably 4 weeks or 3 months."
Yeah, we saw it was June of 2010.
So July, August, September.
He told us
3 months.
by 3 months you gotta. He give me a date when you're gonna
Basically,
start.
you gotta start in 3 months.
Yeah,
Wow.
we had 3 months to start from June
Vision.
to September.
So, pastors, if I ever push you, and it's because my bishop pushed me. And so when he pushed me, I would never have accomplished what I accomplished if my bishop didn't push and put a mandate on me. And so, and the mandate wasn't just on me. He sat in the room with me and my wife. So first, I just listen to this. When I push your husband, I'm going to push you as well, because, you know, the husband can't get pushed without pushing the wife. If you get pushed without pushing the wife, he's going to drag the wife. And so he don't need to drag you. You will help me to him. And so my wife was in the bed one Saturday morning, and she woke up. She said, "Babe, I know where our building is at." And the ironic thing about this is she said, "Let's go to Cold Spring today." And I know where the building is at. It's in the shopping center. I said, "Let's go." We hopped in the car with faith. We headed down, but we passed by this location. It was only a cement slab.
Yes.
I literally stopped, drove up, and looked at it. And it was just a cement slab, no walls or nothing.
And I was just like, we don't have the money. Even though when we left, then it was CRM, City Fellowship. When we left, Bishop and Lady Woodard and the CRM family blessed us, you know.
Not yet, though.
Not yet,
We didn't know all that was coming when we were driving
bad.
down here. They came later. They came with the blessing. It was on our knees. But this day, we're moving on faith. We don't know where the money's coming from.
Oh, yeah, because I looked at the cement and said, we can't afford that.
Yeah. And so I told us, "Baby, this would be a perfect spot for a church and everything."
Right.
And so we looked at it, and we looked around. I said, "No, but she said, I didn't see this. I saw it down the road." I said, "Okay, let's go down the road." And so we get down the road, and we pull up at a shopping center. It's completely closed. No one's there. And we drove from Conroe way down here with ambitions to review this building. Right about that time, a girl drives up into the parking lot, and she's late to a baby shower.
Yeah.
And she said, "Hey, y'all, what's going on?" I said, "We just here reviewing the building. We want to rent it for, you know, for a church." And she says, "Well, I tell you what, I got to run to daycare, to baby shower, but let me run here real quick and I can show you." So she shows the building, and you know, long story short, we looked at the building. She saw it, and it was exactly what God told us. But once again,
Yeah, we didn't have the money.
so we left that day, and we got the phone number to the community center, and you know, and hopefully by they'll be showing you a picture of the community center, you know, and we walked to the community center. It was a good start. We both felt my spirit. What did you feel the day we was there?
When we walked in the community center, I was just like, God, okay, I know you showed us a shopping center. Like, I know you did, but we have to start somewhere. You know, I tell the women in our church all the time that we're not in a marathon, but we're not in a sprint, but we're in a marathon. So I knew we had to start somewhere, and it was $25 a Sunday.
Right.
So we was like, yes, we can do that. That works in our budget. And so we started from there in the community center in Cold Spring. We got the carpet cleaned and all that stuff because, you know, I was just like, okay, it got to be nice.
Yeah,
if we do this, we got to be right. So we made sure we got it cleaned, and that's where we started.
The funny thing is, now first of all, I want to say this: God showed us all 3 locations on the same day.
Wow. Right.
All 3 locations on the same day. God showed us.
Gotcha.
Wow, I
Just
didn't think about
backwards.
that. I didn't even think about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The key thing was this here, though. You know, it's the funny thing was we was always faithful with whatever we received. Like co-pastor said, we went in that shopping center, that community center, and we cleaned the floors. We kept it up. And listen, we had church that day the way we have church now. We had a little closet at the community center. It had mops and brooms and cleaning supplies. That was our office, you know.
Just
we had a little chair and table,
And they had a cafeteria. If you know the community center in Cold Spring, that's where we did our marriage counseling in the cafeteria. It's like nothing. Everything that we do now, we did then.
Wow.
And so we was very faithful with it, and it turned into our church. You know, we was there from.
We were there 6
September,
months.
Yeah, September to April. The first Easter was our last Sunday there.
And our last Sunday there was packed out, like
100 people.
100 people, and only 60 can fit
Could fit in
the
there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was packed out, so we were excited.
just being faithful over little will make you rulers of. Bishop say that all the time.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be like, I get it. I understand. Okay, so now you're here and you're saying your last day there was for Easter. But okay, so let's pause just right there for a moment though. How did you guys deal with, I know coming into the community, I know coming through this, like, how did you continue doing the willpower of saying, I still have a job to do and stay focused, even though you were coming back here and you had all these seasoned pastors that were here? How did you maintain your balance to say, I'm going to stick to this and I'm not going to worry about this? How did you do that?
I wouldn't say that it was actually easy. I would say on my end, it wasn't actually easy because as a woman, we take stuff, full value, right? So we take, if we hear the different rumors of different things, oh, y'all not going to make it, this not going to happen. We had all that come. Right. So for us to be able to go through that, and we come from this community, we're from here, and to be exiled out, it was just like, okay, God, you must really be in this thing.
Right.
So no matter what, we're going to do us. No matter what, we come here to serve the people. We didn't come here, we're not members of other churches. We're members of New Destiny Fellowship Church. God called us to build this church, not everybody else's church. So if they don't like it, hey, we got to do what we got to do, even though it hurt, even though, of course, all going through all that, but you still got to move forward because there's souls that are important. And the more people, we had people that were unsaved, under church.
I'm glad she said that because, when we came to the community, we had to do a couple of things. We had to do self-talk. One thing we used to say, number one, we had to realize who we were called to. And immediately, when we came to Coast Spring, we realized that we were called to the unchurched and the underchurched. And so we wasn't really called to come tear churches down. We wasn't called. My Uncle Lonnie told me these words when he found out we were starting a church. He said, son, don't go fishing in fish tanks. And immediately I knew exactly what he meant. Don't go trying to take members away from other churches. And we were so hard about that till we had some people even go get letters. And we found out later that some people still got in without us knowing it. But not just that, we say this statement here. Everybody's not for their destiny. And your destiny not for everybody. And so we had to realize some things as we grew. Where it was maybe a little tougher for my wife, I was like in a zone.
Yeah. He was laser focused. Like I think any pastor is gonna always be laser focused.
Right.
It was me saying, we gotta pray. Okay, everybody come.
And I think that it's harder now because I'm so deep into it. Till I'm like, darn, I can't give up now. To then, I was in such a, honeymoon stage. So I was just so excited about being married to the church. To where, I look up now.
Good.
I don't know what happened to the first 3 years.
Wow.
It's almost like warp speed. And then look back 3 years that happened. I'm like, wow, what we got ourselves into? It's been a journey, but back then it was sweet.
It was sweet. Yeah, I will say that it was sweet. It was like people were showing, people were coming up, and I think that's any church that start off, and maybe not, but it was just one of those. It was real, real sweet.
Wow. So now you're here. It's Easter. Y'all had over 100 members in this building that can only seat 60.
Well, they wasn't members. They
just showed up to be able to be. But they finances still came through though, right?
That's it.
Okay, so that money came through. So what made you say now, okay, this is my last Sunday here?
Well, the thing was, it wasn't really Easter Sunday that we made a decision we can do last Sunday.
Yeah.
It's so funny that every move we ever made was never to grow us.
Yes, sir.
It was never, and it's so important I say that.
Yes,
because,
that's good.
When we were in the community center, the reason why we left the community center because our kids we kept bringing more kids, and I was always looking, God, I was trying to think maybe put a tent outside. The weather was so unpredictable. I don't want to put my kids outside and the temperature would be too hot. Like, God, we gotta do something for these kids. And so the mandate of
I forgot about that.
The mandate of needing to expand pushed me. So that's one thing I say also. I never made a move to impress anybody.
Right.
No.
Every move I made was to fill a void.
Right.
Yes.
And so when we went from there over to the building, I walked around. I talked to Mr. Jack at this point. He was the owner. God rest his soul. And I talked to him. I said, look, we need a building. And I said, well, this is what we want. We saw the building that you had. And he looked at him. And God, I prayed to God. I never forget it. I prayed to God. I said, God, you know what I can afford. And so I wrote down a piece of paper. I CFO at the time was Tamika, and now she's still our CFO now. I said, we're going to go in there. We're going to tell them this is all we can afford. I can't afford because it's $500 a building. We need 2 buildings. I said, all I can afford is $500 right now. I can't afford $1,000 a month. And so went into the building. I told Mr. Jack, I wrote down a piece of paper. I set it to the side. I told him these words. I said, look here, we need a church. And I don't want to compromise, what we have financially. We're trying to meet where we want to go.
Right.
I say, so this is all we can afford. I pass over to him.
And remind you, it's the same building that we looked at
the first time.
Yeah.
He opens the paper up and he smiles and looks at his wife. And his wife look at him and they smile. I'm like, well, they laugh. I'm thinking they're laughing at me. And he says, it's so funny that we were actually talked last night, and we say we didn't want you to just move in, we wanted to actually sow a seed in you monthly for tax write-off. And the difference of the seed was $500. And they wanted to sow $500.
Come on, go see. That's a reason to pray. Yes, it is.
And so we knew then, a new statement God put in my heart that day is that where there's vision, there's provision.
Yeah.
Yes, I always provide for you. And so next move we made, we went from, we was in this building once again. We had our kids in a little office, little room, and about the size of this room. And they started growing. We had 20 or 30 kids, maybe 40 kids in this room. And I said, God, we need another building. And by now we had moved up and started paying them $1,000. And I knew we needed another building. And I went to Mr. Jack again. Mr. Jack, we need another building. And he said, no problem. Worked on us another building down the way. So we ended up having 3 buildings. And God made it happen. And so every expansion we ever made was to make more room for what we had.
Right.
So that's how we made those shifts. It was by faith. Once again, wasn't thinking. I was only thinking about filling the need.
And he became a carpenter.
That's what I was going to ask, because I'm like, I would remember even just coming to visit. Sometimes it looked one way, one time, and then another way. Like, so what is the benefit of you as men and women of God putting the work back into your own?
I believe at the end of the day, for any man to establish something, I think the amount of work you put into it is the more your heart is in it.
Yes.
And so I think it was necessary for us to put so much work in. I don't come against any pastor who is not a founding pastor if you walk into a church, but I do challenge you, if you do walk into a church, to ask God what work you're supposed to put into it. Because the man who left that church or the woman who left the church left their footprint. You got to find some kind of way to put your footprint. And here, I had to earn my stripes. You walk into a community that's all established. What make you different? Are you going to be another pastor coming in trying to take money?
Right.
Are you coming in trying to get famous?
Right.
God knew, and my father in ministry, Bishop Wood, told me last weekend, God has to give us hours in increments. God knew that we had to show ourselves as a worker and need not be ashamed of what he's doing for us.
Right.
And so we had to put the work in. And so it took me sleeping up here. It took people seeing my truck parked in front of the building. It took people walking in, just walking around, and I have a paintbrush in my hand. I think it took that for me to earn the validation to be a pastor in this long-standing community where there's great pastors everywhere. What makes me think I'm going to earn the right to pastor beside these pastors?
Right.
Because to say at least these guys like Pastor Birch, Pastor, Golfney, Bishop Golfney, and then other ones like Pastor Emmett Chambers. These guys have been putting the work in for years.
Right.
And for me to walk right in and I just have something blow up overnight, I wouldn't have gained the respect of the people. And my wife wouldn't have gained the respect because they had to see my wife there, my children there.
Right.
We worked.
Yeah, our girls, they were 2 and 3 and 11, 7, 8, painting walls, putting down. They know how to taper a wall up. We did hammering, nail. I had to get rid of my nails. To be able, it was a lot of sweeping. It was a lot of, we put the work in. We would stay with air mattresses at the church to take care of helping him so that he wouldn't be wore out in ministry. And I encourage any pastor's wife, you got to do it together. And I think the people seeing that we were a team in this together, like he wasn't up here by himself. It was me and the girls here with him, helping whatever he needed, making sure he had drink, food, or whoever was helping with him. We made sure that we were there. And the people need to see that it's just not the pastor working, but it's the pastor, his wife, and their children that's putting it in all together.
And we got to give it, at the ribbon cutting, we didn't care if you held a dustpan.
Right.
We don't care if you brought some water. We didn't care if you just came in and just spent 2 hours just talking to us. If you had a hand in helping us out any way at all, we gave them a chance to cut the ribbon. I think we had maybe 50 different opportunities to ribbons to be cut.
Yes.
Because we kind of wrapped.
Because people would bring us food while we were here. It was so, the church alone, I think it built New Destiny to become a team, to see, okay, they not going nowhere.
Right.
They going to be here. So let's help them. So, yeah.
And it's so important now doing our new members orientation, our Kingdom Building course, last year, to always show that video.
Right.
Because I think the new members forget, or they don't have the appreciation of where we come from. And so we show the journey of where we come from. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Man, I'm like, I'm sitting over here like, man, more power to you, bless you. Yeah, you know, many are called to it. I just, you know me. So in that aspect, okay, so now you're here, and okay, you're in the shopping strip now. So in that part of, okay, I know 9 times out of 10, I know this was the first stop originally, but at the same time, when you were over there, what made you say at this point, okay, now it's time to leave there?
I'm gonna answer this one because I had no intentions on leaving there.
None.
What?
We were set. We wanted to buy the whole strip.
Yeah, not that I want to just be in a small building. God put it in my heart. You know, sometimes God got to tie your hands up in one place so He can work on another place. Because what happens is we put our hands in something that is not for us yet. And God tied me up over at the building. You know, like co-pastor said, my mind was setting on. I told Jack, we're going to own all this strip.
Yeah. Wow.
I said, we're going to turn that building into a school, you know, and there's nothing wrong with having vision.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having vision also when God come around and change the vision. But at least have vision first so He can change it. We were minding our business. We wasn't bothering anybody. I was working on a building. I just walked into the New Year church, building cabinets, building walls, painting walls. I never forget it. I was sitting on the sidewalk, and Sister Tamisha Williams pulled up. And I was talking to her, and I was talking to maybe Brother Brian, and I was building my first cabinet. I was proud of that cabinet too. I went to leave, and asked me if I take my cabinet with me. He said, "No, you gotta leave that cabinet here." And I told him, I said, "It'd be funny if I complete this cabinet and God move us all the way from here." Yeah. I said that jokingly. About 2 weeks later, I'm sitting at home minding my business.
Yes,
man.
My heater just went out the house, and I was at home on reason because my heater went out. It was cold at the house, and I got a phone call from the pastor who had erected the walls of this building. So I kind of ruled ourselves out. This pastor come back to this building
because somebody had already had this building,
right?
So we were just like, oh, okay, that ain't for us.
That ain't for us.
No.
He built the walls up, and they was actually having church in an empty building, an empty place they having church in. And he called me. He said, "No, I got a church I want you to have." He said, "God told me to shut my church down." And he said that this is something I want to bring to you because I believe that God's moving in your ministry. I want to pass it over to you. Obviously, he wasn't giving it to me. And he said the man who owns the building, he lives in another state. You know, I'm thinking to myself, God, I can't afford this. I can't build this building out. You know, we got a comfortable place. And I said these words, and this is kind of a leader I have. And he don't answer his phone all the time. And I said, God, if this building is for me, have Bishop would answer his phone when I call him. And so, you know, kind of pause and put this in here. I never made a move when I called him a bishop first.
Right.
Because I wanted him to always know that I honored him and I honored his words. And if he told me no, it was no. You know, I wasn't such a man until I couldn't be a child. Right. And so I asked him, I said, Bishop, I said, Bishop answers his phone. I know this is God. Well, Bishop answered the phone and said, son, I can't talk right now. Can I call you right back? I said, that's all I needed, Bishop. That's all I needed. And so I told my wife, I said, God wants us to have a building, and Bishop called me right back. And about 10 minutes later, I told him about it, and he said, yeah, I see nothing bad about it. And so we didn't tell the church about it right away. We did some negotiating, we did some praying, and God worked it out. Like I said, I say every move I made was to make our church bigger, make it better for what we needed for our children or whatever. But this one here was something laid on our lap. And so, was it needed? Maybe not. But did Peter suppose to walk on water? Maybe not. But he saw God passing by, and I didn't want to lose this opportunity.
Right.
So he walked out on the water.
Yeah.
And so
this
opportunity passed by.
Wow.
And every now and then God give you them dream shifting moments. And if your faith is so small that you stay in your last vision where you don't shift to your next dream, that's your own fault. And so that was a dream shifting moment. And God made this move, and 8 years later, could we afford it? No. 8 years later, God has paid the bills month in, month out.
Yes.
And so we made a move to put a building on the back, and it hadn't been completed yet, but I don't think we missed God. God has everything for a reason. So it was a shift over here. And
I would say this, I want to add this to it, is that when we did come, and it was just like the building that we left, it was Easter, but we came into this building on Easter, on an Easter Sunday.
Easter Sunday.
On an Easter Sunday. Yeah, we came right into this building, and the amazing thing to watch was that we had no air, no restroom, nothing but concrete, but the people showed up. Yeah. And it was packed to capacity.
It's so funny that I called the school, and we've always had a problem with the school here. In most towns, you can start a church in the school,
right?
And it won't be no problem. Here in this community, no, it was absolutely not. And reasons why, I don't know. But I'm glad God never let us get into the school, because I think we got complacent and got comfortable. But we tried to get the school for Easter Sunday, and I called up. I said, hey, can we do Easter there? And at first they told me yeah, but in the end they told me no. And it's kind of let me stuck, because I've been advertising we're going to have the big service. I said, baby, we don't have any air. We'll have no running water. I said, all we got is electricity. And we didn't have no carpet. Our stage is wood. And we had almost 300 people show up to that service.
Wow.
We did our first denim and white Easter celebration. In
the restaurant, they would let our members use the bathroom at the restaurant. We had these big, huge, commercial fans around, and no one complained.
Nobody.
Wow.
So that's our journey here.
Man, so now that you're here, and now that the work, and now that the labor, and now that you're seeing it, like, how do you feel at this moment making it to 8 years?
This is where it's been work. I would love to tell every pastor that it's been a fairy tale story all the way. We've had a journey. Pastoring has to be a call. It has to be a call you answer every day. It's not like you answer it, put the phone down, and you walk away.
Right.
And I had my character building moments. I had my marriage building moments. We wrote one book titled Team Our Marriage Survivor Guide. It's coming out now, but we're going to write a second book titled Team Our Marriage Survivor Guide, How We Survived Our Marriage and Ministry.
Right.
We had our marriage building moments, we had our ministry building moments, we had our family building moments, we had faith building moments. But I do believe, honestly, not just for me, my wife, my children, I think it's necessary for the church we're called to. We're not called to just any church. We're called to New Destiny. And our church, our vision, and we're called to change our minds so we can change the world. So the ultimate goal God wants to build is not a four-wall church. It's a four-season church. It's a new dimensional church to where we go beyond our limits. We go beyond our address. We got to build a church in people. And if we ever get to the point we can build a church in people, that's a true living New Destiny. And so to do that, God had to put us through some transitions. So we're here now, and it's not church, it's ministry. We have a building where we have church, but God is trying to birth the ministry in us. And our ministry is beyond, a Sunday sermon, Wednesday Bible study. Our ministry is it's an area. God told Bishop Woodard years ago that we're called to this region. So he has to find a way to transform us to be regionally effective and not just a church effective. That makes sense.
It does. So co-pastor, like, how do you feel at this point, being here and you coming from a person that didn't deal with women to now where you're like, I've learned how to love in spite of, like.
I would say in the beginning, being a pastor's wife in the beginning, it was his church, and that's just being honest. It was his church, and I just showed up to help out. But later on, I would say after the 3 years that he said that passed by, those were the 3 years of hell for me. Because it was a lot, brand new to this, fresh to this. But I can say now, I love what I do. I love the way, it doesn't matter what they do, what they say, that don't even matter to me. I love what I do. I love to see the transformation. It's like I tell people all the time, and I wrote in my book, That's Power in Your Pain, is that I have the best seat in the house. I get an opportunity to watch those women that walk in that are different, those men that walk in that are not, where they really want to be, but then I watch them transform. It's like me sitting back watching the caterpillars come in and they transform into these beautiful butterflies, and that's amazing for me. So 8 years is great, like, for me. Like, now I'm looking, and it's like, no matter what, like, we in this for life. Like,
we're in it for life.
Like, this is
I
it.
like that.
We are so in it for life. Like, I love what I do. Do we have our ups and downs? Ministry it takes work. Like we say, marriage take work. It take work in ministry. And being focused on what God called us to do, and making sure that we're in the vein and in the need of what is needed for New Destiny in that time and in that season. So always seeking God. It just makes your relationship better, keeps us accountable, so that when we get to heaven, we can say, God, we did what you said to do. Can I get in? So it's one of those, like, we're in this, and I wouldn't want to do this with nobody else. but him. And I know you hear people say that all the time. This for real.
That's for real.
Like, I wouldn't want to do this with nobody else but him. He's an amazing pastor. He's taught me so much. When I want to act a fool, he reminds me. He doesn't do it in front of everybody, but he does it in a respectful way that keeps me in line. So he's like my pillow, that pillar that keeps me up to say, we in this together. One thing about it, we can do it together, and I love it. So I wouldn't rather do it with nobody else but him. Wow.
And so, like, together that y'all are doing it. So now that you started off just as being, you know, pastors over members, but now you over other men that have churches. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it is.
In 8 years. So, like, can you expound on that? Like, what is the plan? What are we doing? Like, how? That's a lot on your show. Like, how are you?
You know, once again, most of our major moves have been to meet a need. And so one thing I could say that what happened was, you know, we talked about the ups and downs. We talked about the marriage building moments. We talked about the ministry building moments. We talked about the faith building moments. You know, and ironically, throughout all that, I took notes. And I'll tell you about it.
Literally.
Yeah, literally
he took notes.
I wrote down, I saved everything. I didn't give it any document. I didn't give it any process. And not knowing that I was building an infrastructure. I was building an archive. I like to utilize that better. God had me to take notes, and I challenge anybody now, you know, when you're going through, take notes. That's what Paul did. That's what, you know, James and John and, you know, all those who have biblical scriptures, they just took notes. And ironically, when you take notes, God can use those notes. And so I found out later, you know, my bishop called me to be an overseer, and I did that. I served diligently, but I had all this archive
Just there.
that everybody in the fellowship didn't need. You know, I had this this is the thing, and I thank you, Holy Ghost, for even bringing this up. I had this archive of information that all the pastors in the fellowship didn't need. You know, and I felt bad for sharing because I was so excited about this, and not knocking anybody in the fellowship, but you have pastors like great pastors like Pastor Vern Cooper has a well-established ministry. You know, pastors, you know, in the fellowship like Pastor Suffin has a well-established ministry. These guys are the things that they need. Bishop Woodard had, right? The things that I had, Pastor Hines needed.
Got
you know, things that I had, Pastor Davis needed.
Right.
Things that I had, other pastors needed. And I found myself serving food to people who was already full.
Oh, that's good.
And so I felt so incomplete when I brought this full plate. You know me, I love to cook. And the worst thing I want to do is bring a plate to someone who don't eat it. But I can't expect someone to eat from something they already ate. Oh my God, why would you give me this menu of food that you make me so passionate to serve, but yet I don't have no one to serve it to? And I would begin to see pastors who I could help, but they didn't want it. And then God gave me this word one day. 3 years of this in my belly, I had all these things in me. And I made notes. I wanted to share it because I'm a giving pastor. Because I firmly believe Bishop Woodard, one of the greatest prophecies I ever received from Bishop Woodard. It wasn't a house. It wasn't a car. It wasn't even a wife. It wasn't my children. The greatest prophecy I ever received from Bishop Woodard, never forget it. It was God can trust you. And I really believe He can trust me with information, so I wouldn't use it to hang over people's head. And also I wouldn't keep it to myself to make myself grow and let everybody think I'm better than them. He knew I would give it away. And so whenever I had this information for 3 years, I felt incomplete. I love Bishop. I love the KCCM. I served it, but I outlived my call. I outlived my season. And I knew I had to make a move, and God made a mandate on me that you got to share it this year. And it was so hard because I knew that no one was going to understand. But God told me, He says, you got to make some moves that everybody can kiss,
right? That
their own can bless. And Bishop had to bless it though. And so whenever I left, I went to him, I said, Bishop, God's touching my heart. And, you know, to start the NDCM, the New Destiny Council of Ministries. And I knew, God told me this later, just like New Destiny, don't ever open anything if you don't have a vision. And also you don't know who you're called to. I knew the vision of it. And then God told me, you called to the uncovered and the undercovered. Those who don't have what I have. Nothing against KCCM. Those pastors got all they need. I had to be called to those people who don't have anything.
Right.
And maybe it goes back to the under church and the under church and the unchurch. It kind of goes back to that.
Right,
so
together.
Yeah. We're called to build.
Right.
And we're called to rebuild. Team Harden, we're rebuilding, renewing, restoring marriages, ministries, and mighty men and women of God. Yeah. That's who we are. And guess what? You know what the worst part about that?
What?
Everything we go to is broken.
Wow.
Rebuild, renew, restore marriages, ministries, and mighty men of God.
All of it.
So we can't look to go in this beautiful, lavish place we have to put the work in where we go.
Wow, to make it happen. And I truly believe that you guys are equipped to do it, especially for such a time as this.
Yeah. I almost cried twice when I was talking, man.
I know.
It's been a journey.
I'm just like, man, the Lord knows.
Yeah.
He knows. You know who to put through it. But I mean, just even sitting here listening to this, I'm just like, yeah, I can only imagine just being able to go through all that. And it's just like, but not only that, with doing this, is able to give you guys the team heart, and to where not only are you just able to help here, but you're able to help businesses and things like that in the communities to help go to another level just because you started this.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
It was all for purpose. No matter what, it was all for the pain was for purpose. Everything we experienced for purpose. We had the plan. Everything we had to do, we had the plan, and it's all for purpose. It's like we had to do it, and now looking at it, it's like God. But nobody get glory but Him.
That's it.
Like when we look back at it, there's nothing we can say that was just the build. Even though the building was given to us, but it was a God kind of way. We didn't even go into details about how we didn't pay a dime to put up a wall. Another I would pay for was paint. It wasn't none but God. God opened doors, and we were the ones that said, if you're gonna use somebody, use us.
I think the most rewarding thing behind it is, it's one thing to see marriages fixed. It's one thing to see, ministries birthed out of this. It's one thing to see ministers develop like yourself. But you won't believe what's the most rewarding thing I've been noticing.
What is?
How God has touched my children.
Yeah. Oh.
Here lately, I've seen my babies
You're gonna make me cry.
birth into a new level that we didn't push them. We always told them they're gonna show up because we're here, but we didn't overpush them. And to see my oldest, worshiping on the praise team. To see my middle girl, God touched her heart to let us know she's gonna be the next assistant youth pastor this church. God did touch Madison and show the servitude of Madison.
And that Madison wants piano. She wants, she want to learn how to, and she's inclined.
Like she gets on quick too.
Yes.
That is awesome.
And they love it. We don't push them. They love being here. So to see that I didn't lose my kids in this journey,
yes,
that's unrewarding. See, I didn't lose my marriage.
Not saying we didn't almost lose our kids. Not saying that we didn't almost lose our marriage. Not saying that we didn't want to give up. All of those things played a part of it, and you'll hear it in our book, Marriage Surviving Ministry, because we literally had to learn how to survive and make sure that get your mind right. Your kids, you're leaving your kids behind. Make sure you start spending time with them.
Finding that one-on-one time to spend with them.
Yes.
It's important. So, this has been our journey. I don't know if the time is probably far spent. But it's just that it's a journey. And New Destiny, I want you to know that each one of you has been the purpose for it all. If you want to find out where you fall, we talked about the ministry, we talked about the building, we talked about the marriage, we talked about, Bishop Woodard. But where's New Destiny? You're the fuel.
Yes.
We wouldn't have had a reason to do any of this if it wasn't for you. From the time we started this, you were the original fuel. There would never been a Team Heart Marriage Survivor Guide if it wasn't for a New Destiny. There would never be an NDCM if it wasn't for a New Destiny. It would never be this address. It would never be, even the
a new
watching.
building.
Yeah.
New everything. It wouldn't be if it wasn't for New Destiny.
So don't ever think that you're lost in the sauce. Don't ever think it. Just know you're the main ingredient in the whole entire pot.
Oh,
and so I want you to know that. So when we elevate, you elevate.
Right.
And now we have another ingredient in the pot called the NDCM. It's not another pot. It's all in one pot. I didn't want to create a fellowship outside of our church. I want to bring in brothers and sisters. Pastor Davis is a new brother of yours. Lady Davis is a new brother of yours. Pastor Hines was always a brother of yours. Lady Hines was always a sister of yours. We want to bring in new family that become part of who we are. But New Destiny, don't you ever think that when we write a book, it's not because of you.
Yes.
Can I tell you, every chapter of that book is because of you?
Yes.
And my wife wrote The Power and Pain. Unfortunately, you were part of the pain. So it wouldn't have been a pain book if it wasn't for a pain point.
Right.
But remember, for every pain point, there was a power. Yes. So it wouldn't be power if it wasn't for you either.
And then it was learning lessons that we had to learn through you, through us, everything. We're not perfect. We have made mistakes, and we always in the moment of apologizing for our mistakes because we're human.
I think Elder Trey want to say, what I want to say is I want to say thank you for every member who started with us in the community center. And you've seen the up, the down, the in, the out, the over and under. I thank you for outliving the worst part of us and lasting for the greater part of us.
Oh,
I want to say thank you. And I
Thank
believe that the man you see now, the woman you see now, the church you see now is not the church you seen 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it's not going to be the church you're going to see 8 years ago.
That is awesome. Well, those are all the questions that I had, and it's been great sitting here. And so, guys, I say you heard it here first. New Destiny Fellowship Church, the journey of where it started to where they are now. 8 years strong and ready to go 8 more years stronger. So it's a fresh start. So let's make it happen. Thank you for tuning in.